background on flow, background on the loops, and I'm going to have Scott take over from this point to talk about some really incredible work that he does with a handful of his clients.
So when I was talking to Lee about this and learning about the concepts of flow, the biggest thing that he said is that you can't get reliable feedback on the individuals. At the Family Center, and I'll come back to why that's important, the Family Center, we offer purpose-based classes where we work to improve social skills for individuals of all ages and social levels. So they're social skills classes, but you're not coming and learning a social skill. It's targeted to a concept. So we offer culinary arts classes for children ages 5 to the oldest individual is 72. Hour and a half long classes where they're making a meal aside and dessert. We also offer food as art classes where they make art projects out of food. We offer technology classes, classes such as Minecraft or Roblox, things that children are playing in their bedrooms and are typically looked at as somewhat solitary activities. We offer music classes, we offer sensory music classes and more subdued, where individuals can come and relax and be exposed to music, and we also offer music and movement classes that are a little bit more targeted. We offer art classes range from sensory art for children ages 3 to 5 to sculpting and junk art and cartooning for teens and young adults. We offer yoga classes for every single age group starting at 3. We offer sports classes, karate, multi-sport classes. We offer dance and movement classes. We offer vocational classes. We have started something called the Teaching Trade series, where how we're approaching the vocational issue with adults on the spectrum is we're teaching them how to make things like soap, or make things like chapstick, or make things that they can do in any setting. So no longer are behaviors or social skills limiting what you can do. You can make these in your house and then sell them at the farmer's market. So we offer vocational classes, and we have a sensory gym too, where we offer 2 types of classes. One is called Action Time, where our sensory gym, you'll see it in a later picture, has swings, it has zip lines, it has rock climbing walls, and we have people that want to come in and set in a net swing every time. So the Action Time class, the idea is to expose them to different types of activities they would enjoy. And we also have a sensory gym social skills class where we're giving the individuals that are in the class a specific task to do. So we take a big gym ball, one of those exercise balls, and we have to move it to the other side of the room, but we can only put our foot on the ground at one time. How can we figure that out? Well, luckily there's monkey bars and there's trampolines and there's all kinds of stuff to help you get across. So in the midst of these classes weren't designed with the idea of flow in mind. They weren't designed with the idea of minimizing, of putting individuals in a mindset state where they do become more calm and they are enjoying what they're doing. They were designed to teach social skills around the ideas and the concepts that the people like, the individuals like. But what we have found is, and after talking to Lee about this, I went back to the center and I'm walking around and I'm watching and I'm talking to different people, is that there are some ways that we can tell the individuals are in somewhat of a flow state like. We have a lot of people that have a lot of repetitive hand movements. We have a lot of people that have vocalizations, and when they're doing specific tasks that they like and specific tasks that they're adept at, those things decrease. So I may not be able to ask an individual if they are feeling euphoric, but I can tell that any indication of them not being happy has lessened. So at the Family Center, we don't grade group based on social level, we don't grade group based on skill level. Our cartooning class has very accomplished drawers and artists. It also has people that are just learning how to draw. So while we know that the participants are interested in giving subject matter, they're coming, somebody wants to take a cartoon class, is signing up specifically for that cartoon class. I know that they're interested in that concept. It's our job to scaffold and differentiate what we're doing so that everybody in that class is challenged, is comfortable, and their abilities match their challenges. So of course, you could assume that if we're anywhere on the bottom left half of that, or let's say not the left half, let's go anxiety, worry, apathy, or boredom, we're going to see an uptick in behaviors. You're going to see, I gave a presentation years ago when I was working for a different organization, and we talked about how you want to teach people recreation skills, and the quote was, "The devil finds work for idle hands." If you're not giving me something to do, I'm going to find something to do. So when people sign up for the class, just because they like art doesn't mean that they're going to sit perfectly and participate in that art class if things aren't challenging on the right level. So on a very base level, we have a 3-to-1 staff ratio. So for every 3 participants, we have 1 staff member in that class. I could tell you out of the 67 classes we offer, that might apply to 2 classes. We change our staffing constantly for the people that come in so that everybody in that class can be learning and being challenged on their level so that they can hit the area of high ability to match their high, we know that they're interested in the classes, so we have to make sure that they hit the challenge on a high level too to hit that series of flow. So how does flow manifest at the Family Center? And I say flow because this is my observations of these individuals hitting a flow state. Again, I can't confirm they're hitting a flow state because they can't tell me that. We have Richard, he's in our Culinary Connections class, he's 55 years old and he loves cooking. He excels in cutting. Richard also likes to take those little coffee stirs and he likes to spin them in his fingers. And when Richard isn't actively engaged in an activity, he will be measuring, spinning a coffee stir in his fingers. He will be mixing, spinning a coffee stir in his fingers. When Richard starts cutting, the coffee stir goes down. And one of the things that Lee said is that there needs to be consistent or they need to know what the expectation is. So we can tell Richard that the expectation is for him to cut carrots at an inch level, but nobody has a higher expectation for those carrots being uniform than Richard does. Richard's setting that himself. Richard will cut those carrots in all motions, all verbalizations, all hand movements, everything goes away. And he will sit there and cut like it's nobody's business. He could get a job at a salsa stand and be the best salsa maker in the country. Everything is uniform, everything is perfect. We have Vincent, who is 20 years old, and he has social struggles to the fact that when he's put in social situations, even consistent ones. Vincent's been coming to the Family Center for 3 years. He takes cartooning class. It's been in the same setting with, the individuals of the class change, but with the same instructor and similar support staff since he's come, but he still gets anxious when he goes into the cartooning class. When Vincent, he loves drawing, specifically blending classic ads with topical situations. He recently drew a KFC ad that talked about how gravy was the cure for world hunger. So he's taking things that are going on in the real world and mixing them with classic ads. When Vincent's drawing something that he cares about, when he was drawing that picture, he will talk to the people around him. You can tell he's calm. So again, I can't confirm that Vincent's in a flow state, but based on observations of his comfortability in that setting, it would appear that he's in a flow state. Last is Justin. He's in our teaching trade soap making. He's 18 years old. He loves being social to the point that he will blurt things out to try to get somebody to react. It may not be topical, it's just repeating things over and over again until somebody else in the class goes, Justin, stop. And to him, he's happy with that interaction. He had a social interaction with somebody. When Justin is making soap, we have multiple things that we do. They're measuring it, they're scenting it, they're coloring it. We also are making sugar scrubs that they're measuring and mixing and coloring and scenting. When he's doing these things, the verbal tics, not necessarily tics, the verbal questioning stops completely. And he focuses purely on what he's doing. So again, I can't confirm Justin's in a flow state because even though he's verbal, the idea of is probably too abstract for him to understand. His behaviors show me that he's in somewhat of a flow state.
Scott, would you say that there's a closed mental loop going on?
Yeah, because these are replicable things. When Richard's cutting, Richard knows that once he finishes this object and these items, he's moving on to the next ones. It's repetitive, and the more that we give him the preferred activities, the more calm and the more excited he is to be there. Same thing with Vincent. Vincent is very similar to Richard, where I says he's setting the bar for what he's done. He has a level of perfection. He has a level of skill that he expects out of himself. So we're not saying to him, you need to finish this drawing and make sure that there's this parameter to agree with. He's deciding what he's doing. And then Justin too, when he gets done with something, we for the teaching trade series, we sell the objects in our lobby and the individuals get all of the profits, so anything over the cost. So we just finished our second series of this and they had their first payout, which was about $85 a child. We had 4 people in the class and all of their parents said, well, this is our kids. Now we have to figure out how to get them to appreciate the work they did and get the money, because the concept of earning something is new to these guys. A lot of, probably 3 of the 4 in the class. The 4th individual asks me every week when she's getting paid. And then we'll worry about that. But, so it's and that concept of building off of these flow experiences. So now Justin was in an experience where he made soap. He experienced a reduction in behaviors. Now that activity leads to the next step, which is now money management for him. How the benefits of these concepts also happen in the FCA is you know, when I said that the concept of flow wasn't in the design of this, what was in the design of it is that people are more apt to learn when they're doing things that they like. So Dan, for instance, he's 16 years old, he takes multiple technology classes, he loves technology and video games. Dan is a very grumpy young man. If Dan is sitting in the lobby waiting for his family to come and somebody bumps into him, he's going to probably yell at them. And if I were like, Dan, relax man, that was an accident, he'd probably yell at me too. When Dan is participating in technology, when he's programming, when he's participating in something, he's much more suggestible to skills and much more apt to listen to people. Somebody bumps into him, he may say something that's not as grumpy as it would be in the lobby, but when I say, Dan, that was an accident, he'll say, I'm sorry. Because at that moment, he's happy. And this goes back to what the whole purpose of this presentation is raising your quality of life. When Dan's happy, Dan's more apt to learn. Philip is a young man that came to us 2 sessions ago. He lives in Brooklyn. Now, we're out on Long Island, we're out in Garden City. So every Saturday and Sunday, Philip's grandmother drives him from Brooklyn because she tried other programs in other settings that weren't right for him. He loves math and cooking. Philip takes 4 classes. The first one is art. When we present him with an art project that he can follow along and create himself, he focuses in on that and completes it. When he's in food is art class and we present him with a picture of what he's doing, he can lock in on that, work on it, and complete it. In the other classes, yoga is a little more concept driven. The instructor is explaining to Philip what to do. He can't get into a hypothetical flow state because he's waiting for the next instruction. When he's in the sensory gym, and he has a hard time because there's no instruction, really. It's a free time, it's free time. But when so if he starts struggling in the sensory gym, we bring him out, and he sits down and starts doing math, Philip will be able to do very high-level math problems, and all of those behaviors fall to the side. Everything falls to the side. There's also, Philip has developed every single, no matter what, I could give him a 4-digit time 4-digit multiplication problem, and he's going to be 10 off. 10 off. I could give him a 1-digit by 1-digit multiplication problem, and he's going to be 10 off. And this is because Philip also likes to have the teacher or the instructor or whoever's with him to check his work and have that social interaction going back and forth. So you think about that level of whatever you're doing, you've not only figured out the problem mentally, you're that in depth in it, and then you're modifying it for the next step, which is for him to practice his social skills. And lastly, Lucas is 6 years old. He loves movies. Lucas is a very active young child. He doesn't sit down, except in art, where he draws pictures from Hotel Transylvania, and he'll draw characters from Cars, and he completely sits there quietly. And he's in-depth focused on his drawings. So Lee said that a lot of this stuff is hypothetical. What the Family Center, from talking to Lee, we've been able to kind of make some of these ideas concrete. There's examples, and although they're not peer-reviewed articles that where we do stuff, we can look at behaviors, and a reduction in behaviors, a reduction, an increase in happiness, for individuals that can't relay how they're feeling, is a sign to us that it's moving in the right direction. So, move back to you, Nellie.
Perfect, yeah. Great stuff. Thank you very, very much. The programming over at the Family Center is really, really, really impressive. It's an organization that I've actually known since before Scott was involved in. Just an amazing group of people that said we're gonna set this boutique up over here, and we're gonna give purpose as many different ways as we can. And a little jealous, he works for a great company. So I'm going to take over at this point and now talk about the actual